As I was mentioning to Taha, that we're going to focus on solving for the indicated variable. And the reason why I wanted to do this, because as you guys progress into science, there's lots of times that you need to solve for a variable in a given equation. So, you know, the equation that you're going to be memorizing as soon as you get to grade 11, 12, but they always want you to solve for a variable in the equation. So for this first question that says A equals LW, comma W, all is that asking you is asking you to solve for this variable here. They want you to isolate the W. So if I want to have the W by itself here, since I have A equals L times W, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna divide both sides by L. Okay, so if I divide both sides by L, the L's would cancel here, and I'll have AL over L equals W. So therefore, I isolated the W already, so W equals A over L. Is that when you're given an equation and they ask you to solve for a variable, how can you solve for that variable? So this equation was A equals LW. I'm writing comma W because that's the letter that I want you to solve for. So I want you to solve for W. In this equation, we just divided both sides by L, and then we get A over L equals W. So I isolated the W because W equals A over L. Now, how about here? They want you to solve for H. So anybody knows or guess what's the first thing we need to do if we want to solve for H? Taha.
Would you isolate the H?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But how? What's the first step that we do to make this easier?
Do you divide everything by B?
Okay. Eventually, I want to do that. Even if you do it now, it's not a problem. But I think leave this till the second step. It's something when we did last year when we did grade 9 and we were doing algebra with fractional coefficients. It's something to do with that. But anyways, it's been a while. Most likely no one will recall. If you're solving for H here, the best thing is to take all of this equation here and multiply it by 2. Because 2 times A will give you 2A. And 2 times all of this, the 2.5, when you multiply them, you get 1. So the 2 will cancel the 2 on the bottom here, and you'll just end up with BH. So sure. All these equations here, I'm writing the equation. This is the equation, and the comma H, I'm just writing comma H because I want you to solve for H. This is the variable that I want you to solve for in this equation. To solve for H, the first thing I do, I multiply this whole equation by 2. 2 times A will give me 2A. 2 times half BH. 2 times half gives me 1, so I'm just left with BH. Now at this stage, if I want to isolate the H, that, as indicated here, I have to divide both sides by B. And now this B will cancel this B. Then I have 2A over B equals H. So now I isolated the H. And you could write the H first equals 2A over B. I'll repeat again. Okay? So I have the equation A equals 1H, sorry, 1/2 BH. And they want me to isolate the H. They want to solve this whole equation for H. Instead of A equals, they want it to be H equals something. So for me to be able to do that, I have to multiply this whole equation by 2. So I'm multiplying this whole equation by 2. 2 times A, you get 2A. And 2 times half BH, this 2 and this 2 will cancel. And that's why when I went over the fractions, I told you that you're able to do that. And so I'm left with BH right here. Now, again, I haven't isolated the H completely yet. So to isolate the H, I have to divide both sides by B. So this B cancels this B, and then I have 2A over B equals H, which is that right here. And then I just rearranged it, started with the H first. So that I read it from left to right. Okay, so the third equation here is P equals S minus E. And they want you to solve it for S. So they want to have the S equals. So for me, that's P equals S minus E. If I want to isolate the S, I have to add E to both sides. I add E to this side, the right side, and I add E to the left side. So P plus E just becomes P plus E. You cannot put them together because they're not like terms. Negative E plus E, they cancel each other out. And I have S. And therefore, S equals P plus E. Now, how about here? They want you to solve this for U. So V equals U plus AT.
Oh, wait, I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 3, you said we need to like. Oh, wait, no, never mind. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Good. So now V equals U plus AT, and they want you to solve this for U. So they want this variable here isolated. This is exactly the same as this, except here, instead of having one variable, you have two variables. So basically just minus AT from both sides, from the left side and the right side of the equal sign. So this becomes V minus AT equals, that will cancel, sorry. And then you get the U right here, and better to write the U first, equals V minus AT. Clear? Quick Y if you got it.
Why do we have two U's? Why do we like, I don't know, don't we have two U's? Like,
Where? This one and this one?
yeah.
No, this is a comma. Here, it's a comma U. That means this is the equation. This is the only equation you have.
Oh.
I'm indicating which variable you want to solve for. So when I write U here, I'm saying solve all of this for U. Like here, I wrote a W. That means solve all of this for W. Here,
Okay,
I wrote an H. So that means solve this equation here. This is the equation. This is just what you need to solve for.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. Now, this gets a little bit harder now. So, Taha, what should I do first here, if you have any clue?
You would subtract R from
Both sides.
yeah.
Definitely, that's the first step that you need to do. So the right side of the equal sign, I'm going to minus R from here. And also I'm going to minus R from the left side. So the W, this just becomes W minus R equals H T. Now, Jumana, what should I do next? Nigar, what do you think I should do next?
Is that if I guess like, I'm gonna guess like you're gonna have to minus like, wait, no, you're gonna have to divide.
Yeah. By
divide by like, yeah, 8.
Yeah.
I'm on the right. Okay.
Why don't I minus? Why I have to divide both sides by H? I'm not minus H. Why?
I don't know. I just guessed.
Okay, you shouldn't be guessing, because
I
guessing is not going to
eight.
get you a good mark on the test.
I know, well, because I've never heard of this before.
Okay, I'll tell you why. All right. The relationship between H and T here, is it addition or multiplication? The H besides the T, does that mean these two things multiplied or added?
Multiplied.
Multiplied. So you always want to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So that's why I have to divide this side by H and all this side by H. So the H here will cancel with the H here. So I'll end up with T equals, I'm just gonna do that on the left side right away, W minus R over H. Now, Jumana, I want you to tell me what to do for number 6.
Okay, so you're trying to isolate H,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So first you divide the LWH by LW.
So I divide both sides. Whatever I do to the left
Yeah,
side, I have to
both.
do to the- yeah. So I divide this side by LW, and I divide this side by LW. So the W cancels the W, the L cancels the L.
Yeah.
E over LW equals H,
H.
and therefore H equals B over LW.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Is everybody clear about this? Nigar? All right. So now we're gonna make these a little bit harder. So please take 5 to 10 minutes to finish these 3, and then I'll get back on this. But please remind me as soon as I get back on this to start recording, because I'm gonna pause the recording right now. So I'm gonna give you 5 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna go through these, and then you guys double check your answer and make sure you got it right. Okay. So the first one, C equals 2 pi r, which is the formula for circumference. And they want you to solve it for r. It's like they've given you what the circumference is, and they want you to find out what the radius is. So to be able to solve this equation for r, all I need to do is just divide both sides by 2 pi. To get rid of the 2 pi here, whatever you do to the left side, you do to the right side. So 2 cancel the 2 pi, cancel the pi. Then I have r equals c over 2 pi. And this second one, what you need to do is, see that 1/3 here, we don't like it the way it is. So to be able to solve this for h, the first thing you do to this equation here, multiply the whole equation by 3. So 3 times v is 3v. Equals 3 times 1/3, it cancels, because 3 times 1/3 is 1. And then you'll end up just with pi r squared h. So in this equation here, they give you the volume, they give you the radius, and they want you to find out what the height is. Basically, that's what the situation is. So now,
Wait, why'd you multiply by 3?
because I don't want to have the 1/3 right here, because
Oh,
that's a
okay.
nuisance. When it's like that, it's a nuisance. Okay, so when I multiply the whole thing by 3, then this 1/3 will cancel. When you multiply the 3 into this, you only multiply it into the 1/3, because this is together. All right, now I divide both sides by pi r squared to isolate the h. So the pi cancels, the r squared cancels with the r squared, and I have h equals 3v over pi r squared. How about this one right here? This one I need to solve it for d, or isolate the d. The first thing I need to do is divide both sides, subtract a from both sides. So v minus a equals, don't forget that negative with the d, negative dn. Since I need to solve this for d, I'm gonna divide both sides by negative n by negative n. So v minus a over negative n, that n will cancel with the n, and the negative will cancel with the negative. So v minus a over negative n equals d. We don't like a negative number on the fraction on the bottom. When you have a fraction, a negative on the bottom, we don't like it. It's not wrong, but we don't like it. To get rid of that negative, so just pay attention to what I'm saying here. If you want to get rid of this negative here, you write this backwards. So you write it as a minus v instead of v minus a. And then you're allowed to make that n positive equals d, and therefore d equals a minus v over n. Questions?
I'm only confused on one thing, like how the n became positive from negative.
So you're allowed to make that n positive by switching these. And the logic is, if I have 3 minus 5 over -2, I'm just going to work backwards like we write in Arabic. 3 minus 5, what does that give you? That gives you -2 over -2, doesn't it? Which gives you 1. Can we agree on this? So are we okay with what we did here?
Yes.
That's fine, eh? So how about if we switch these here and we write them as 5 minus 3 instead, and that allows me to make the -2 +2. I'm going to work backwards. 5 minus 3 is 2 over 2. It still gives me 1, doesn't it? This and this gave me 1. So if you noticed here that this was 3 minus 5 over -2. And we saw that the final answer was 1. But also I told you you could write this backwards. So write it as 5 minus 3 instead and make this positive. And we still get this and this to be the same. The final answer is the same. So that means I'm allowed to do this. Does that make sense, Jumana?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
Right. Okay, great. Now let's go to the next patch of questions. And things are just going to get more interesting. Anybody wants to have a shot at the first two and see if you could get it right? Or should I just go and explain them? Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes to go over them. Nigar, just apply the simple things that we do because it comes down to the basics. Still comes down to the basics. Doesn't matter how hard it looks, it's still going to come down to the basic things we do in math. Let me just go over this. So we'll do what Taha did first, which is, let me just use a different color. Am I recording? Hold on a second. Yeah. So what Taha did, Taha took all of this equation and say he's going to multiply it by 2 because he doesn't like this fraction right here. So he went 2 times s, gave him 2s. 2 times wt, just 2w, sorry, 2ut, that's u, it's not w. And when you multiply 2 into the half here, the half and the 2 disappear and you get a t squared. But after that, Taha, you have to know that you want to isolate the a. If I want to isolate the a, definitely I don't want to divide by 2s. This here, I don't want to touch it because I'm after getting rid of stuff in here, not in here. So the first thing I want to do, I want to minus 2ut from both sides, from the right side and from the left side. This is the right side and this is the left side. Minusing, excuse me, I wrote minus 2ut and somehow I wrote minus 2s, minus 2ut from both sides. So here I'm just going to get 2s minus 2ut equals a t squared. So most of the puzzle is done now. All I need to do at this stage, I got to get rid of that t squared since I'm isolating that a by itself. So that way I divide both sides by t squared and divide this side by t squared. This t squared will cancel this t squared. Therefore, a, which is that one, would equal all of this. Now, please ask if you're puzzled. Now, here they want to solve for f. Does anybody have any clue how to do this? If you do, you could just pick the mic. Otherwise, write n so I could do it myself. I think I would see a lot of n's here. Maybe Jumana want to try it because they haven't written an n yet. Okay, capital N, okay. So here, sometimes when we have fractions like this, we might be able to rotate, like rotate all of this. So just think as this as one unit and you rotate the whole thing. But I cannot do that. The only time I could do that is if I have one fraction on the left-hand side and one fraction on the right-hand side. So if I have 1 over x, let's say, and I have x minus m over, let's say, n, and I wanna, or y, okay, y, let's say y here, minus m over n, and I wanna solve this for x. Now, because I have one fraction here, and this is one fraction, because there's one long line that indicates it's one fraction, even though it's more stuff written in here, but it's one fraction. If you have this, then you could rotate top and bottom. You rotate the whole thing. You don't rotate just one side. You rotate the whole thing. Just think of this as, you know, it's like the chicken, you know, when it's on the barbecue, you barbecue the chicken on the thing and it's rotating, so the whole thing will rotate. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but I just thought I'll try. So therefore, if you could rotate all of this, then this will become x over 1. And remember, I said when you have a 1 underneath, you don't have to write it. So this becomes x over 1, and this rotates into n over y minus m. Do you understand this step right here? Please let me know so I could move on and explain the other one to you. Either yes or ask. So yes, I only heard one person send me a y. Yalla, Nigar.
Well, I'm confused. I didn't know what you saw. Where'd you get the x, y, and n and m from?
No, I'm saying I'm giving you an example. This is not related to this. I'm saying if you have 1 over x equals y minus m over n, and you need to solve this for x, since you have one fraction here and one fraction there, you could rotate the whole thing. So this rotates, goes x over 1, and this rotates, goes n over y minus m.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get it, okay.
Yeah.
Easy.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now I'm going to go to the question itself. Now I said the only way you could rotate all of this is to have one fraction here and one fraction here. But here we have two fractions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this as 1f. But here I'm going to do a common denominator. The common denominator is pq. That means I multiply this by q, and whatever I do to the left side, I do to the right. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. And then I have to multiply this by p to make it pq. And whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the tops. So this will end up giving you 1 times q, which is q, and then 1 times p, which is p, over pq. Everybody's good with this step? Quick, please, guys, respond quick so we don't waste time. Yes or no? Good. Okay, good. And now, once I have one fraction here, and I'm solving for f, I just rotate the whole thing. So just think you could rotate the whole thing, both sides of the equal sign. So this becomes f over 1, which is just f, equals pq over q minus p. And that's done. Now, how about number 3? Number 3, they want me to solve for e. And it's c equals ne over nr plus capital R. I have a few videos about cross multiplying. It would be wise for you to watch them, because the cross multiplying is a great tool to get out of trouble. When you have a question that looks as ugly as this, cross multiplying could make it very simple. Okay. I think I've done with you last year cross multiplying. So some of you would know what I mean by cross multiplying, but it's been a while and most likely you've forgotten how it works. So pay attention now, okay? Cross multiplying is when you have one fraction on the left side and one fraction on the right side. You might say, well, this is not a fraction. Yeah, it is. It's over 1, except we don't write that one underneath. Okay. So when you have that situation, you could cross multiply things. Cross multiply things. So what do I mean by the word cross? You're crossing to the other side of the equal sign. So cross means you're crossing to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so when you cross to the other side of the equal sign, pay attention to this. If the thing that's crossing is on the bottom of the fraction, when it crosses to the equal, when it crosses to the other side of the equal sign, if it's on the bottom, when it crosses, it goes to the top. So can you agree with me? All of this is on the bottom. And if it's going to cross to where the C is, then it's going to cross and go to the top. You know, the C is on top of 1. This is on the bottom. If it crosses, it's going to go to where C is. It's not going to go to where the 1 is. It's going to cross to where the C is. So it's going to be C cross multiply. So you put brackets, which means multiply, equals N E. Are you okay with this step? So cross multiplying. This is on the bottom, crosses goes to the top. And now I have this, it's much easier. Now to solve for E at this stage, what do I need to do? All I need to do is just divide both sides by N. And therefore I have C brackets NR plus R over N equals E. Yeah. Some of you will argue, because this will cancel this. Some of you will argue, okay, oh, why can't I cancel this N with this N? No, you can't do that because of that plus sign. You cannot reduce them. Okay. And therefore, I'm going to write it as E equals. If you like to multiply the C inside the brackets here and there, you're allowed to do that. So we could have C N R plus CR. So that's the property of distribution over N. So you're allowed to write it like this or like this. Both of these answers are acceptable. Now here again, we have to solve for B. Taha, what's the first thing you think we should do?
You should multiply it by 2 because we have a fraction.
Exactly. So we don't want that 2 in there. So I'm going to take this and go 2 times the whole thing. Can you tell me what I'm going to get?
2A, and then is it 2H?
Okay, when you multiply, why you multiply by 2? It's very important to understand why you're multiplying by 2.
Oh,
Because you
no,
want
I
to get rid
understand.
of that 2.
Yeah, it's
So
only
the
H.
minute you multiply the 2 into H over 2, the 2's would cancel. And I get
H.
H. And then I have A plus B. Now, some of you might argue, say, wow, why didn't you multiply the 2 into the A and plus B then? Because this H is multiplied into here because of the brackets. When I multiply the 2 into here, it's the same effect. All you need to do is just multiply it into here. Don't need to multiply it into there. But in here, I have to multiply it in everything, the 2, because these are separate things, you know. But here, the H over 2 is already multiplied into the A plus B. So all I need to do is just multiply the 2 into here, and that's all that I need to do. At this stage here, there are 2 things I could do. Maybe I'm just going to do this approach here. So I'm going to keep this as 2A. I'm going to distribute this into here and into there. So that will give me AH and plus BH. Now, remember, I'm solving for B, so I want to isolate this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to subtract AH from both sides. And I will have 2A minus AH equals, that will cancel. B, H. And since I want to solve for B, then I'm going to divide both sides by H, and that's going to give me B equals 2A minus AH over H. And make sure you don't cancel this H with this H. You're not allowed because of the minus sign right here. So I will give you 2 to practice. 3, and you could even take them as homework if we don't finish them within the time frame that's remaining. So here are the 3 questions, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna add one more for 1 over R equals 1 over lowercase r plus 1 over S, and they want you to solve it for S. So try this with the remaining time, and then I'll jump into this and try to solve some of them, and then I'll do the other ones next time when we start the next session, when we're gonna leave this. We're not gonna come back to this. Okay, guys, let me say a few things here, okay? So first of all, Jumana, I wrote 3 equations that we covered last chapter, and and I have a recording that I've sent to everybody on the first session that we did. Unfortunately, I didn't record the session itself, so I made a video for it because I kind of recorded and then I forgot to record, and then recorded and then I forgot to record. So these are the equations that I want you to take a picture, copy them down, because my the next session that we're gonna have is gonna be related to this. So it's coordinate geometry, okay? And the next thing is these here, I'm gonna leave them as homework for you from 1 to 4, because I want you to maybe watch the video again and try to do them instead of just me doing them. And please, when you do them, take a picture, email me back of what you've done and what you've written, okay? Very important to do that. Now, with the remaining time though, if you have any math question in the last 5 minutes that you want to ask it now. Send me a picture, send me a text message, whatever. If you have a math question, you could ask me now. Does anybody have a math question that even not related to this? Just watch what we've done. It will help you solve these, okay? And I'll make sure to send it to you in the next couple of days as soon as I get it edited, and then I'll send it to you guys. Okay, so maybe we'll leave it here today. So I will leave it here. It's 8:30. Sorry about the late start today. I was just on my bike and I thought I was going to be back on time, but I wasn't. And I also was trying to kick my kids out of my office. All right, any final